Hello and salam alaikum, everyone. Welcome to My Halal Kitchen interviews. I'm Yvonne Maffei, founder of My Halal Kitchen. And those of you who know me know that I love to interview really interesting people in the food space, particularly those who I've met through recipe testing and interesting kitchen products and ingredients. And today I bring you a very special guest, Mohammed Salehi. Hello, Mohammed. Thank you for
Assalamu
joining.
alaikum, and thank you so much. Hello. I'm very excited to be here.
We're so excited to have you. I know you and I were both pretty hard to track down each other for a long time, but we finally made it work.
That
You,
is
I
true.
think, are a lot more busier than me, but we were able to talk about your beautiful, beautiful products and your company, Heray Spice, based out of Chicago, Illinois, which was my home for many, many years. And so, Mohammed, you reached out to me on Instagram
I did.
about your products, your saffron. You have more than just saffron. We'll just say that at first, but I think saffron is the showstopper here.
That
But
is, yes, correct.
yes, and I love this packaging. Look at that.
Thank you.
So, but what's inside is really a gem, and we will talk about the saffron and cooking with it and all of that. But what I think was really, really special about your story was the fact that you work with farmers across Afghanistan, your home country, and you help them to have a sustainable lifestyle with fair wages to live through this business of yours. So I'm not going to pretend to know everything about your business or your story. I know I heard it and it was beautiful and it was very heartwarming. And I also love a good story of persistence and business acumen, and you have all of that. So please go ahead and just tell us whatever you think would be useful for people who are interested in starting a business, but also things that will really help us to understand how special what you do for the people in your country really is. Thank you and welcome.
Of course. Thank you so much first for having me. Thank you for being very responsive on Instagram and just responding, and giving me the opportunity to express our story and what we do and how we do it. First of all, as you mentioned, I'm Mohammed Salehi. I grew up in Afghanistan, and I got an asylum visa to come to US back in 2014, end of 2014. But always my heart and my mind was back home because my families are still back home, and my brothers and mom and everybody. We have been farming, as well as all of my families have been going to school. We are all first generation going to college. My mom and dad or my they're very specific, and they are very basically big on education. That you've got to finish your school, you've got to finish your bachelor's degree at least.
Absolutely.
Yes, and so I came to US. My family has been farming saffron. When I wanted to cook something with saffron back in 2018, with like making a saffron tahdik, which is a very
Mm,
Persian-inspired recipe,
right.
also famous in Afghanistan.
That's the
When
rice
I
that's
want,
burnt on the bottom.
yeah,
Okay.
that is correct. Yeah, it's a tahdik is basically bottom of the pot, a very crispy rice.
Mhm.
And when I went back then, I was alone here, my wife and my kid. But I don't think if I had even kid back then, but my family were all in Afghanistan. My wife is right now here with my kids. And I bought some saffron. It didn't sound like it didn't smell like saffron. There was something off with it. Like the smell was really very, like very tobacco type of metallic smell. The
Hmm.
taste was really very chemical taste. But I grew up farming saffron, so my family, we still have a farm in Afghanistan. And I thought with myself, if the saffron in the US is like this, we have a market for it. Maybe we should bring some Afghani
Yeah.
saffron.
Good quality.
So yes, because I knew the quality of good saffron.
Right.
And also, it was always back in my back of my mind that if I get disconnected from my country, meaning if I don't do any trade, any education, any non-for-profit work, the
Yeah.
chances are that I'm gonna forget the culture. I'm gonna forget the pain, the struggles that the people of my country are going through.
That's such a
Um,
beautiful point. I think a lot of
Thank you.
people that, yeah,
Sure.
that's really, really special.
Sure. So it was always in my mind, and as they say, when a student is ready, teachers will appear. That's something like
Yes.
that people say. So
Yes.
I think I was ready for that mission, and Then I went back in Afghanistan in 2017. 2018. I brought some saffron, few ounces or almost 150 grams of saffron. I tested with some chefs in Chicago, professional chef. I reached out to them, like I reached out to you on Instagram and Facebook, and they gave me the opportunity to go and show them the product. They really loved it. And now the problem was the demand. Now, how we can manage that, the farmers are getting the fair wage, not the warlords and not the village elders, that some of them has power and the arm, and how we can set a system that these farmers are getting a cooperative structure. Like we can share a portion of the profit, we can invest on their local school. And that's a huge, we will talk entire interview how we did it. And it's an amazing journey and experience. And then right now, we are serving more than 300 restaurants and clients across the country, and more than 1,000 probably customers online.
Can I just ask a question before you go forward? Did you have any business experience at this point when you thought of the idea and how much you wanted to not lose the connection with your country and come up with trade, you said, but did you have any experience?
I think yes and yes, in terms of a little bit, and no, because I was a farmer, so we had the crops. We were cultivating barley, mung beans, wheat, saffron, and as the elder son of the family, which I was, even though I was like 13, 14, I had to bring these crops to the city to make sure we sell them, so we have enough food for the family. So the struggle really made me, they say, when the need is the mother of all invention, requirement is the mother of inventions. So then there's a struggle of how to deal with people in the market and the brokers and the bazaar, right? Like as a whole, how the market works. Right. At the early stages of life. Because unfortunately, I don't think if I mentioned that. So my father passed away when I was 12. And when you're the elder son of the family and you have 5 smaller siblings than you, basically in a country like Afghanistan, culturally speaking, the son of the family becomes a father in terms of meaning and philosophy.
Right. So you became the provider basically of your
correct
at
yes and
age.
Yes, at a very young age. And then I had a grandmother who passed away, and she also had some heart disease and some issues. And my mom also has some inherently like some genetic heart disease too. So it was a tough life growing up. So I had to find a way that, my farm is working, but also I have to get access to education. I was basically going to a night school from 8 p.m. to almost 12, sometimes 11 p.m. And then I had to farm and take care of the family and basically school. So school was mostly in the evening, and then during the day it was farm. And sometimes I also had a little what I call like a front store, not a store, but like you had this little type of wheeling thing, like a rolling type of little store that you can go across the bazaar and sell things. Yes, okay. So I would sell things. Cart. I would buy groceries. Yeah, I don't know what they cart. Yeah, cart. Yes.
Like a cart, and you bought and sold produce to help with
specifically produce and vegetables. Some of them were our own farms. So I had to find a way to help feed the family. It was a responsibility. That I don't think if I mentioned ever that anywhere, even on Instagram.
You didn't tell me that when we spoke, but that even that it deepens the respect even more, because that is something that I think most of us who are born and raised in the US or North America would never experience something like that. Whether culturally or just, even if it were to happen, you wouldn't be expected to, take over and work. It's not even allowed, right? So that grows you up really fast.
That is very true.
Wow.
And then, so that answers your question. Then when I came to US, then I was basically like a sponge looking for opportunity. I was working multiple shifts, going to school. In spite of the business, I managed to finish a bachelor's and a master's degree in the US from IIT, or Illinois Institute of Technology. They call it the Illinois Tech, one of a very top school in the US, in Chicago. And while building the business, so now I only run Heray. I'm full-time working for Heray. A few employees of part-time, but no, I don't work for corporate of America.
You're used to studying and working at the same time. You started
very, very true. Very early in life, till basically like 3 years ago, until 2021. It was always studying and working, both at the same time.
Well, now that's called a hustling, right? Like, there's a hustle culture, and everybody's like, into that and also burned out from that. But you've been doing it since you were, pretty much not even a teenager yet. You were just getting to be a teenager, and then you fell into this. But you seem to me the person who, some people get very bitter about that, but you seem to have just taken it on as an opportunity to grow and to really do something purposeful with your life. That's why I really, loved your story. And then on top of it, you bring us the most quality saffron I've ever had. And, I'm a skeptic about a lot of food because I get exposed to a lot of things, and also traveling, a lot of us, I think we can be food snobs. Oh, I've had it over there and it was so much better.
Right.
Let's be honest, like people in the food world, if you're really exposed to lots of food, you become very discerning, right? And that's just part of the experience. But I didn't expect your saffron to be as good as it is, because I've been when I was in Dubai, I remember going to the spice market there and buying a whole lot of saffron because I thought I would never get as good of saffron as I did there.
Okay.
Now I'm stuck with a lot of saffron that I'll use it maybe in baking or something, but it doesn't have the depth of aroma and the color that yours has. Yours has what it's supposed to be like. This is what I really feel.
Well, it's two reasons. So, when people ask me about why I write that my spice, yes, that is you have the jar, perfect.
You can smell it as soon as you.
Yes, I have another one like this. So let me open this.
Yes.
Tube one, and we have the glass jar, square one. You can see very clearly.
Yes.
Dark red, no yellow.
No yellow. Yeah, that's an indicator.
And right now I'm going to tell you about that. So there are two reasons. When people ask me about why I write that my spices are sustainably and ethically sourced, there are two reasons for that. The meaning of sustainably is being used as a trademark, as a way of doing business in the US, which is sad because it has to have more ethical meaning to it. Anything that's sustainable, it has to be sustainable from biological or planting perspective, or chemical and farming. But also we have to consider who is farming it. Absolutely. Is he getting paid? Is he getting paid? Is the pay fair?
Yep.
Are you paying through? Because the one big problem that we have, and I work for non-for-profit organization, and I work for the contractor who worked for the U.S. Army in Afghanistan as a military linguist. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the time there are USAID and non-for-profits that are giving funds to Afghanistan or Gaza or countries abroad that are poor and needs help. The problem is so many hands have to touch the money. Like, okay, money is for me, then I give it to them. They call it subcontractors or distributors. That literally less than 5 or 10% of the money goes actually to the people who deserve to have it or who are supposed to have it.
It just dissolves the money at every step. It just gets less and less back to the people.
That is very true. So what we do in this spice, in my business, we first of all, and when we talk about sustainability, we talk, is the product has a quality. That's number one. Meaning, is it all dark red? We do not add the yellow because yellow are acting as a pipes, technically speaking, or styles to bring the nutrients from the ground to the top. So they have no nutrition value. Number one, is the product has good quality. The aroma, which is, they call it picrocrucine or crucine, which is the taste and the smell and the color, is the product is good on that. Number two, the second question comes, is it safe from a food science point of view? I studied a semester of food science. I'm not a food scientist, but I did research a lot about it. Does it have salmonella, E. coli 157, E. coli? Yes, mold.
People think that they can get, E. coli or salmonella poisoning from something like that.
They don't.
It's just about your hands touch everything, and what every time they add something to a product or chop it up or bag it up, or the more it's exposed to some interaction, the more likely something bacterial gets on it, right? It's just
that is very true. And those microorganisms, those pathogens, as you said, viruses or even bacteria, we do have healthy bacteria, which our body needs them, but they are the bad ones that can cause you, a lot of food poisoning issues. Even some of them are deadly bad. Yep. And for us, it's like, first, it's safe for a human being to consume. Second, is it high quality that we care? Is it premium? Is it
Yeah.
Is it how we want it to be? And then the other whole pillar is for us is how we can pay the farmers, how we can have a cooperative structure, that these farmers are being paid very well, but also we get access to the best of the best. There's no middleman. I know them all by names. I travel back and forth. I meet with them, and it's
That,
like, let's get a good product and pay the people very well.
and in essence, isn't that a sustainable model? Because if the people are happy and they're not being exposed to things that, if you have to add things to your products that aren't very healthy, the workers inhale that or touch that. And, it just seems so unethical from the get-go, but it also is very impractical. I mean, how many people can sustain working like that? So it just seems like when you get back to quality of a product and quality treatment of people, which is in essence like a very halal way of doing things.
Exactly.
I'm always like fascinated by this idea of like how it just seems like common sense. But nowadays, I think people are, more consumers are more aware and they're demanding more transparency. And I hope that people really see someone like you who's working so hard to maintain that quality and those relationships. You don't need a lot of your product to make something taste amazing. And, so when it comes down to price and things like that, I'm always telling people, go for quality. In America, we have this thing with quantity, and it's great. Land of abundance is wonderful, but we don't always need so much of something especially if it's not good for us. But it's that nutrient dense food that is, the high quality. You don't need a lot of, and you appreciate it more, right?
That is exactly how when I meet with some of the chefs and some of the restaurant owners, I tell them, you need to basically use a fraction or a third of what you're using already,
Exactly.
because I mean, even if you put the same amount, your food will be extra aromatic, and you don't want that. So there should be a moderate level. So
Yeah.
you're saving money when you buy basically a jar, let's say an ounce of saffron for 150, versus you buy 3 of them for 75 each. You almost get the same result because of the quality of how high quality this is. And you
Yes.
don't need to use much, as you mentioned. That is very true.
Well, most Michelin star chefs who are doing molecular gastronomy, they understand this very well, because if you go to a Michelin star restaurant, you're not going to get a big plate of pasta. You're going to get, micro bursts of food. And their whole point of doing that is to let the food speak for itself, let the ingredients speak for themselves. And they're very proud of their sources of ingredients, and they want you to taste each element that you put into your mouth. They want you to have that explosion of flavor. So I think they really would appreciate it. I imagine that, anybody who's into that really gets it.
That is very true. And our focus is actually the distributor and the restaurants that are fine dining establishments that are Michelin star, 1 star, 3 star, 2 star. We actually had a 3 star customer through another distributor.
Nice.
But we do have, in Chicago, we have many restaurants which are amazing, great restaurants. That is true. Yes.
Well, you have so many connoisseurs of food in Chicago. I think people don't realize that, like, because it's the Midwest, everybody's focused on, Napa Valley or LA or New York, but Chicago is just absolutely fantastic place. One, to have a business in food, and two, to have, an experience at a fine establishment of food, a restaurant, whether it's like a food cart or it's a Michelin star restaurant. But I'm certain that they appreciate the quality of this. I mean, when I was making, so I've been experimenting with your saffron, and I made just the simplest tea. And I know it just seemed really simple, this karak chai that I posted the other day.
Sure.
And my husband is of Omani origin, so he bought me this cookbook on Omani recipes, and it's fantastic. There's a lot of things with saffron, but I was, I thought, well, a big rice dish is a bit, all over the place, and you're only going to see the saffron a little bit in it, right? But the tea, when I made the tea, you could really taste the saffron. And I'll be honest, I think I put too much in, but
Sure.
a little bit, saffron happy, but it didn't need as much as I used.
You're right.
the color, the water, when you soak the saffron in warm water and before you make the tea, I usually, what happens with other saffron that I've used, it takes such a long time for the water to turn any color, and it doesn't all turn that golden orangish color.
Yes.
This one, yours, instantly started to change color and beautifully. And I didn't even need to wait a full 10 minutes for it to really become that color. But the flavor and the aroma it imparted into the tea. I mean, I'm not really the biggest tea drinker, mostly because I don't really get a nice or aromatic cup of tea. But
Sure.
this one I will be making over and over again. And I know
That's awesome.
well, I can't get into medicinal things, right? We can't give advice, but I was told many years ago that if you have a stomach ache, drink like a saffron tea or boil saffron with hot water or something. And so I always think about that, and I think, oh, it was really nice on the stomach. I just
Yeah, I mean, not to give any medicinal or medical advice. I am reading a book actually right now. It's called How Not to Die. And the
I've
book is
heard of
basically a
this book.
nutrition. Yes,
How is it?
it's a great book. And there's one chapter that it talks about Alzheimer and brain diseases, because
Oh,
this book's basically connect the diseases to the world of nutrition and
mhm.
how we can change diet or change ingredients to live healthy. And saffron there are scientific research in this book mentioned that saffron actually improves mood. It is antidepressant.
Mhm.
There are
Interesting.
effects of it. Yes, that they did actually a research giving placebo or actually the antidepressant medicine, and saffron is almost performing as much as an antidepressant medicine
Wow.
without having the side effects, and that's like incredible good news.
You know what?
So, but yeah,
So that's so fascinating. But you know what? I think you're onto something. And also, if you give people an inferior quality, they're not really going to understand. I think you can't grasp the same effect. But with yours, I can honestly say, like, just having that aroma in the kitchen, I've never experienced that with saffron before. Not even the one I bought, what I thought was from like close to the source when I was over in Dubai.
yeah,
But well, aromatherapy tends to work on a lot of people, right? I mean, but I think that when you're cooking, for example, the smell of the ingredients, the beautiful spices, when they are fresh and from a good source, it's a different experience than, well, every chef will tell you, you're only as good of a chef as the quality of your ingredients.
wow, that is very true.
So, going back to that effect of I think that aroma, I was really happy when I made this tea. I kept saying to my husband, oh my God, this is so nice. You have to try it. And it wasn't even like time for tea. Usually I'm really like, okay, have tea after eating, like a good 20, 30 minutes. I think I had this before.
Sure.
It was done. And I was like, this just made me happy to make it. But I do believe in that experience of cooking when you've got those beautiful ingredients that are of quality. It imparts what they're really meant to impart on you,
Correct.
psychologically or aromatically or whatever. But I do think there's some truth to that. I mean,
100%.
studies to show us, but I
Sure.
do
And
think
also our clientele in the last, at least the last year, since last 12 months, I should say, from October last year, we actually see our data on our website that our customers are people who are herbalists, who have a
oh,
tea drinking background, they have a tea shop, they have a
mhm.
coffee shop. Like I noticed that change in, because before it used to be all cooking, all saffron
Yeah,
rice, paella,
right,
pasta,
right.
bouillabaisse. It changed over time. Now people are, the question they ask on my website, we do not give any, because of FDA and we do not want to get into regulation stuff, we do not put any medical advice. But if we do, even we say there's this resource that is mentioning it, go read it.
Exactly.
However, we do get questions and emails like about the health benefits. There also in Indian culture and as well as Persian and Afghani culture, saffron has been used
Yes,
for medicinal benefits for centuries, for years. And
absolutely.
now,
And so on my mom's side is Latin. So I grew up with like to make like paella rice, which is typically made with a little bit of saffron, which I think back in the day it colored the rice. So
Sure.
they probably used a lot more. But also from my father's side, I'm Sicilian, and I was looking through the recipe books, and there's quite a few recipes with saffron, which was brought over by the Arabs to Sicily, the Mediterranean, Spain. I don't know, like there's
Sure.
a whole history, but I think that traditionally people really understood it wasn't just a coloring, but it was also that flavor. And so that brings me back to a couple of things. I know you do more than saffron, but let's go just finish I think the question a lot of people really have on saffron is the price. It's the
Sure.
most expensive spice in the world. Is it?
Correct. It
Right.
is.
So what would you say to people who say, you know what, it's just too expensive. I can't afford something like that. I mean, if this is for, connoisseurs of food, this is for elite or chefs, or what would you say to people who sort of write it off?
If I find the person who initially said in the US saffron is the most expensive or it's expensive, never buy it, I would really have a conversation with that person. I couldn't find it. I think it happened centuries before. So culturally speaking, in North America, people have this imagination that saffron is expensive. I'm at some of the shows, and because we have a policy, and that's very famous on my website, pay as much as you can. If someone comes to my website, and we work with multiple non-for-profits, and that's one of the ethical aspect of my company. If they say, I need the saffron, I have only $5, it's 15, we do not even ask a question. We're going to give them for 5. That's something I promised my mom, and I promised myself, that our product should be available to the people. We are not, of course, we have a premium product, but we do not act as we're luxurious and only for a specific class of community or society. We are for everyone. If you can afford $1, give us $1. We will take care of the rest.
I feel that. I feel that
So-
with your brand. Your brand it really communicates that it's
Thank you.
beautiful, high quality, but it's not, you're not like, gatekeepers to some, magic potion or something. You're not,
Sure.
cutting people out. And I think that's important because healthy food and healthy ingredients seem to be becoming less and less accessible to people it doesn't seem fair. It doesn't seem right.
It's not fair. And that's exactly what we are saying. Saffron has a lot of health benefits. It's a lot of good aroma, flavor, smell is amazing for your food. Everybody should experience it. And then second, when you come to your question, when you say about the price, yes, saffron is more expensive, pretty much most expensive compared to any spice in the world. However, if you see how this is cultivated and harvested and then sorted, you will understand the value of it. Saffron is very laborious. This is not a crop that you harvested by a machine. You pick each flower. The picture you showed, those are flowers, right? So you pick the flowers.
The crocus.
Yes, the crocus flower. And then these are actually the fertility part of the flower. The stigma is actually that's where the pollinating is happening. So those are the genitalia part of the flower. Basically, you are picking up each thread by hand from a flower. Now think about that. First, you have to grab the flower by hand. You cannot just harvest it like this, with a plow.
Yeah,
so you
like
gotta have
or something.
Exactly. First, pick up the flower, bring it to a good facility where it's clean, safe. Now pick up each thread, and every flower has 3 to 5 threads. This is so much time consuming. Imagine if we pay the minimum wage in Afghanistan. A gram of saffron like this actually 4 grams, but a gram is basically like 1/4 of this. 1/4 of a gram, it takes 2 persons almost 3 hours, 4 hours to just create 1 gram. And now imagine the cost of labor, right? In that local market, you have to pay employees, you have to pay cost of the farming, the farmers themselves. And that is one of the biggest aspects why this is expensive. It's just laborious. It's really laborious.
Exporting it into the US as well. So it's a whole other thing. I mean,
of course, international market and, importing saffron from a country like Afghanistan. It's a lot of challenges, but I really wanted to bring a smile and happy in this conversation. I don't want to talk about challenges.
No, but
at least there's 100 of them I can talk about.
It's important because I think people should learn to appreciate what goes into it.
Of course.
Not everybody is doing products. I mean, I have an olive oil brand that I just launched last year, and even with help, even with the contacts and a good supply, I mean, it's so much work. And if you're really a stickler, like I think both of us are about quality and sourcing, you go and you make sure and you talk to people and you're checking the plants and the farms, and like it's so much work, but it's, I believe, a service to people, especially in today's world where there's fake food, there's
Yep.
so much junk, there's genetically modified stuff. If you have somebody who is bringing like healthy food that actually benefits your body and gives you nutrition, you know, I feel like that's the only way I would do it. I think that's the only way you would do it, but it is definitely a service to
And
people.
also, the other aspect is when you pay a price which is higher than the normal product or spices, you're getting the benefits. You're enjoying a meal, a cuisine, which really gives you that authentic feeling of I'm
Yeah,
actually having an Afghani product and an Afghani recipe or
yeah.
Omani recipe in that case.
I
So
think
it
it's
really, you experience it. Yes, you experience that.
when I look at your product and when I was working with it, and I really, I was, I think I was more careful than usual because I just thought about your story. I thought about the farmers, and we really, that's really conscious consumption starting to happen. So
Correct.
that's why I really appreciate you telling us your story, and I hope people can really get a sort of window into the behind the scenes, because we just are so floored with so many products all the time, and there's just too much sometimes, like at the store and online, and it's hard for people to filter out what really is good and worth the money. And I would say, go for the best you can afford. Go for the best you can afford and make something special with that thing, and that sort of makes you travel in your mind to another place.
Definitely, and that's another challenge in any exotic or rare ingredient. You have to really be very careful if you're having from a trustworthy brand, like from a good
Oh,
transparent source. The
yes.
product is tested by many people and yourself, making sure it's real. There's no chances of 1% being fake, because we know
Yeah.
there are fake caviars, we know there are fake honey, fake saffron,
Right.
fake olive oil,
Yeah.
and those
All
are
of
the
them. Yeah.
one. You see what I mean? Then that is the problem with the fake ones is not only they make money, they're actually harming us. Because if someone's selling this much fake saffron for $2, and I know for a fact that this costed me $15 to produce. Now, if you're selling for $2, the inception of the customer is, oh, Mohammed is trying to charge me tenfold more money. But the
Yeah.
idea is, no, I'm giving you the actual product, and it's very tough to. I don't have time to prove that he has fake.
Yeah.
All we do is I really told on my website a long blog post. There are safflower patel. Safflower is a Chinese herb. It's not saffron. They add into saffron. There's
Yes.
corn silk.
Yeah.
From the corn hair or corn silk. They add into the saffron. They dye
Yeah.
them with food coloring. They cut them off. They dye them with food coloring. It looks like saffron. These are not saffron.
Yeah.
We are trying to educate the people. Yeah.
Especially, I find, a lot of the little like mini markets around, I've seen it in
Correct.
Chicago. I mean, you see like a little saffron behind the counter, and it's like on a shelf, sort of thrown there with a terrible label, and it's like $5.99. And you're like, oh, well, that's a good price, but nobody cares about it. It's like just an
Correct.
afterthought. And I always think saffron is such a special product. It should have a place. It should have a respected place. The people should know about it when they're selling it to you. They should tell you this, because I think any fake food is very dangerous to people. I don't
I
like all
agree. You're right.
dyes and chemicals, and people are starting to find out that those are linked to a lot of health problems. And so, I would urge people to just really, if you want to cook with something, understand what that is, and then you will know the difference between high quality and what you can afford in that quality bracket, and then what's fake. Just don't even buy it. Don't even spend your money on it. It's horrible. I know with olive oil we have the same issues, and it's so maddening because it's like, you're telling people this is a pure product, but you're mixing other stuff in it, and then then it's hard for people to trust you when you're the one selling something that you know is pure. And like you said, then you have to spend a lot of time. I think a lot of it is education. You know,
Correct.
you have to educate, but consumers also can find that nowadays they can look everywhere online and educate themselves as well. So I think you've done a fantastic job of working so hard to educate people and sharing your story and your why. And so hopefully people can just watch this kind of interview or go to your website. But saffron isn't the only thing you have. You have that wonderful, wonderful wild cumin.
I
And
do, yes.
that is, mine is in my cabinet. But you know, Mohammed, I want to say something about that too, because cumin is used in so many, Middle Eastern, Eastern, South Asian recipes, but it hardly has any smell when you buy it from
Correct.
stores. And you get really big bags of it. You can grind it yourself. Yours, what I loved about it, it's just the aroma is incredible the minute you open the bottle. So
That is true. Well,
tell
there's
us about it.
sure. So there's a story behind that. When we have saffron, so 90% of our focus and market is saffron. But
Right.
then we noticed that some farmers came to we have a facility in Afghanistan. We have 4 employees, including my brother and 3 other employees, full time pretty much. And a lot of farmers were complaining if Mohammed is selling saffron, why he does not sell our cumin, our mint, because we have mint leaves, and we have our fennel seeds. I mean, we have good products, and they are very authentic products. Why doesn't Mohammed think about these? I mean, Afghanistan has a lot of stuff. For a long time, I was very focused on saffron, and I'm still focused. But when I get approached by a saffron farmer who, we have crop alteration. It's basically we give a rest for the
Right.
crop a year or two, then we change it so that the nutrients are getting back. And then farmers are like, well, I'm cultivating mint now, Mohammed, this is the best mint, and why don't you take a look at it? Then we were like, okay, let me add mint. Regarding this is wild mountain cumin. What interesting fact about this? This is not actually cultivated by human beings. These are not cultivated by human beings. These
Right,
are
that's
wild.
Because you said it's wild. So what does that
It's
really
wild.
mean?
Wild literally means, so I hope one day there should be a certification like organic, non-GMO, a wild certification. Wild is basically something that the mother nature gives without cultivation. So you just harvest them. The way this works in the top of the mountains in Hindu Kush, it's a chain of mountains in Afghanistan where like it's in the northern side of Afghanistan. So very, very close to China and between Pakistan and China. And there's these mountains. So when the mountains are growing, like basically, they're for generations, that's how they're happening. They grow themselves in the mountains. So what happens when the plants are raised and good, then the seeds fall off, right? The seeds fall off where the plant is growing. And the next year in the fall and the winter, when there's rain, when there's like this winter rain, the seeds absorb back the rain, and the land gets a little bit, the soil gets soft. And again, they get started, regenerative by themselves. And was the local foragers in those villages in Badakhshan, which I know few of them that we buy from. These local villagers, what they do during the month of July to August. So we have our new harvest coming in 2 months. The one that you have is actually from September or August 2023. Okay. Now wait for the new harvest. But even that's stuff like this has 3-4 years. They're not going to expire, but the new harvest is even more stronger. So these local foragers or these farmers, they go on top of the mountains, on these hillsides on top of the mountains. They plow them, like they harvest them, and then they, what they do is they put these stones together so that the plants give all the seeds, and then they get the seeds, bring them down the hill, basically to local shops, and we have a person over there that buys for us.
How do they pick them? Isn't it really?
These are plants. Yeah, these are plants. These are like
plant. Okay. All right, not that they don't pick the individual thing. They pick the whole plant and then pick the leaves off. I see. Okay.
The leaves off, and then they bring the leaves down. Then they hit them with a stone so that the seeds come off of the plants purely, because it does like cilantro seeds. This is the same type of plant, like karawi seeds.
Oregano maybe, because oregano is like you can dry it. But,
correct.
Okay. Oh wow. Wow.
Yes, that is how this one is. Yes.
So what do you make with it, with wild cumin? Like, what's your most popular dish, or what do you recommend? And do people have to roast it?
So for our family, meaning my mom and my family side, we have been having a lot of cumin chai. It may sound a little bit not very
No, no,
famous here,
I
but
guess.
we make a cumin, yes.
Oh,
And then
interesting.
my wife's family and also our family too, we do a lot of rice with it. So you can
Right.
basically make a cumin rice, and
Hmm.
after your rice is done, just put on top of it, close the top again, and put it. We need the rice to be on the oven for hours, multiple hours, and then you will get that. Also, cumin goes very well with soup. If you have a soup that needs cumin, this is very good with that. Also, it can be used for a blend if you want to use a blend of different spices and then use cumin
Yeah,
behind
that's
it,
what
mix it
I do.
like
Yeah.
meats and rubbing. Beans is another thing that I use personally. I love when I add this cumin seeds in the beans.
Oh, good.
You
Because
can use them multiple ways. Yeah, it's amazing. It changes everything, the flavor.
so do you recommend roasting it first, or does this not need it?
This does not need it.
I
Even
didn't
though we
think
do roast, it does not need roasting. This is
I didn't
already so aromatic because a lot of the time you roast things to get all the aroma and the flavor to come
Yes,
off. This
yes.
is already so aromatic. You don't need that.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. I just grind it up a little bit and then throw it into
Correct.
whatever, because I cook with cumin quite a bit with especially a lot of Latin dishes have a lot of cumin, like in our beans or our meats, we do a lot of cumin,
Sure.
but also in the Gulf dishes, of obviously in the sort of blend of spices. But this one is, I have never experienced. I don't think now I can go back to the other stuff, because
Sure.
it feels like once you try something so good and such high quality, it's hard to go back to something else that
You're
doesn't
right.
have it. And you think, what have I been buying all these years? It just seems like I feel gypped. I feel like I've been cheated.
And two companies, from my knowledge, two companies in the US sell them right now. It's one is us and one is Burlap and Barrel. We are also
Yes,
working with Burlap.
I
Burlap
work.
is not selling our cumin, but they are selling our saffron. So the
Okay,
saffron you buy from Burlap is ours.
I'm very
But
familiar.
we both sell the cumin, and anyone who had Burlap cumin or my cumin, they can never go back to the generic
No,
cumin in the market.
yes, yes,
Yes,
I've tried their stuff too. It's very, very good, but I didn't know
of
they had
course.
your saffron. So this has
Yes.
been fascinating, Mohammed, and I know you're such a busy man, and I see you all over the place on Instagram. I see you in Chicago, and I'm like, I know a lot of the people and the places that you're at, and I'm so
Sure.
proud of you, because
Thank you so much.
being in the business world there for 15 years, I really I know how hard it is to get your foot in and to really get to be just to get the publicity you've gotten, or to get the customers, and you've just done an amazing job. So how was your experience at was it ABC 7?
Yeah, it was. So I was at the. It was Fox 32.
Fox
Although
30.
I was at the WGN and few other TV channel local
Oh,
stations
great.
in Chicago.
Great. That's great.
Yes, it was great. It was really welcoming, great experiences. Talking to them with my story. So yeah, it was fun. They actually promised me to come to my warehouse and do an entire episode, like an hour long feature of the story.
Awesome.
I'm
Awesome.
excited
Well,
for
I
that.
would love to do that too. Next time I'm in Chicago, we'll do another interview if you have time. And my goal is to do like a nice big road trip all the way over to meet the farmers. That would be very cool.
Oh
I don't know
wow,
how,
that would be awesome.
but I'm
Pleasure.
adventurous that way. I would love to. I think people really need to see things, and they're so interested in that today. And it would be so fascinating to just get to speak to the people who with their own hands pick these products. I think it's such an honor to be able to meet them, and you, of course. I mean, you're the one who's driving this whole thing, so you're making it possible for us to have what we have in your products. So
Thank you
can't
so much. I'm excited to have you. Hopefully, in the future, sometime
oh,
we'll do a road trip,
look.
entire Afghanistan, Chicago. It would be
Yeah,
amazing.
you know what? People call me crazy for some of the trips I've taken, but I find it fascinating, and I find it very interesting. And you come back really appreciating every bit that's on your table that you're able to cook with. And I know when people compliment food and dishes, I always say, it's not really, okay, you have, as a chef or as a person who cooks, you have a certain talent, but you're never going to be great without great ingredients. You're just
That
not.
is very true. And if you notice in all of the interviews that I have, and I don't want to brag about it because like I say that, even when we were featured by Bon Appetit, I truly give credit for my farmers. Like it's really, if it's, yes, I do a lot of supply chain and sales and marketing, and I meet with at the different shows I attend, a lot of sleeplessness, so many hours are driving and going and flying. Yes, I understand all of that. But without the farmers who are cultivating them, and without the farmers who are taking the risk to cultivate this, if the basically there's one night there's a huge hail on the crop and the crop is gone,
Yes.
what are they losing? Their entire year yield, right? The amount of work they do, and I really give credit. Everywhere I go, I'm like, if you're a farmers cooperative in Herat, we're a business in Chicago, and it's all farmers. It's their story. Let them shine. Let them, even if you go to my website, I have at least 16 or 17 farmers' stories featured, the one that agreed. We have more stories coming up. We don't use a lot about the farmer, like in their entire family. Who are you? What do you do? How many kids do you have?
Exactly.
Those matters. Those are people who are behind these, not only me,
I feel like in our community and our society as a whole, people just really don't respect and appreciate farmers enough. Without them, we are nothing. We are,
Exactly.
we will not eat. It's like, I feel, there's all this talk about food security and climate change, and all of it is really much deeper and more serious than people really think about. But if you don't take care of the farmers, the ones who are cultivating the land, and you don't give them the respect, then you don't, I'm sorry, but I feel then you don't deserve it. Because
100%. And yes, that is a challenge I face when people say your saffron is certified organic. I'm like, this is 100% organically grown. It's not certified. And the reason is I can't pay a company from the USDA, companies that are verified,
to go,
giving them $120,000 that they to go and wait for 2 years under observation. I can't. And second, if I do that, or if the farmer yield is going down by 80-90% and they are willing to cooperate for 2 years, are you willing to pay the farmers? Are you willing to pay them more money? I mean, we are already in a squeezed world with the prices, and now you're asking me who is covering this cost. And those are things that people have to think about it.
That's a really important point you brought up, because in the world of halal, right, the certification is big and it's a huge business. And although I agree with the concept of like that transparency, yes, I agree with that. But when it becomes so cost prohibitive that it becomes more business than transparency, then I think business owners are better off to just be like what you're doing. You're so transparent. You're telling your story. I give that advice to a lot of business owners who aren't doing it and worry about all the certifications. And I say, just put your stuff out there, put it on Instagram, put it on social media, put it on your website, take the calls from customers, and, you work with that, because it's true. You have to always worry about your bottom line, and the ones who are doing the grind with their hands, and picking that food. That's more important really than sometimes just the piece of paper that is going to put you out of business. So until they fix that, the cost of that, then maybe that you just work with what you have to do your best.
I have two experiences from this certification. One of them is a little bit odd, and it's funny, but it's odd too. I have to tell you, but I don't know if it's appropriate. I think it's appropriate. I was trying to get a minority-owned certification, and there was a majority-owned person trying to certify me. Basically, he was not the people of the color, which is fine. And he was asking me, how do I know you are brown? And he was white. And it was not a bad question. But it was funny for me because I'm being certified by a white person to be a brown or minority business owner. This is so sarcastic. And I have to pay. You know what I mean? I have to pay for someone. And think about that is what I'm calling about imperialism and colonialism. Because the certification I have to pay $1,650 for someone who is not minority himself to certify me as a minority. Isn't that colonialism? how what is colonialism? You know what I mean? I don't want to be rude or
Of
something,
all
but
the years
it's
I've
so
been doing
sarcastic.
this,
You see what I mean?
I've never heard of a story like that. Well, I've never actually heard of anybody certifying their. I mean, I know it happens all the time, and I know people do it, but I never heard of the sort of process behind it.
The process is you of course you have to answer all the question and you have to prove you are from this
How
culture
do
or
you
this
do?
background.
Okay, so
Yeah, so but the question was during the call, I actually cracked a joke and I laughed about it, that some of this certification, my point being is some of this certification is another way of making business for companies who are in the US and
oh yeah,
trying to, you know what I mean, trying to squeeze a small entrepreneur. Well, you have to get certified as a minority owned to get this business deal, and now I have to pay you 1650 to certify me to being minority, but I'm already minority. What else do you want? Like, you're here on a call, and you know what I mean, like that. Those are conversations that sometimes bring me into like, isn't that a mentality of colonialism that you are trying to impose on me to get this certification? But
that's
I
an
am, I am. This
point.
is me. You know what I mean?
That's an interesting point. Yeah, and who makes up all of those categories of
It,
races?
and that is exactly the other point. Who makes up that one? And also, I had another call with an. I'm not going to mention the name of certification we were trying to get. It was last year, and I was telling the guy that saffron is a multi-year harvest, and he was telling me, "Did you harvest it already?" I said, "Yes, but we're going to harvest again." And he couldn't understand that. He was like, "What do you mean you already harvested?" And I told him, "Have you ever been in a farm?" And during the call, and I was really dead serious because I got upset. And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Tell me one of the farm you have been in your entire world. Doesn't matter if it's in the US, Afghanistan." And he couldn't even name me which city. But I knew he didn't know even about this farming. I grew up as a farmer for 21 years of my life, farming. And now you don't know what is a multi-crop mean. And you're trying to certify me to be, this
Oh my God.
great, farm to table product. Like these are so business oriented that we are trying to give a hard time for a farmer, a minority, a small
Well,
business,
and business
to make money.
in general, it just becomes so cost prohibitive to function that way. If you're not on top of your bottom line and your eye is not constantly on the priority, which in your case really is your farmers, right? You
Correct.
don't seem to forget that, which I think when you're given all these sort of, you have to do this, you have to do that, it tends to distract most people from what's really
Correct.
important, and to say, oh, and to make you nervous to think, well, you have to, in order to get this, in order to grow, you have to pay in order,
Correct.
and I think that's another problem.
I think that's so. The reason I brought that is, there are businesses who are making money off of certifying,
Yeah.
but I don't see the categories who assign them, why they are basically who give him the power to certify me as a minority and making money off of me. Like that is so
Well,
colonialism oriented.
it's not just colonial. I think it's sort of the Wild West in the certification world, because
Oh,
pretty much anybody can be a certifier. I could start a business as a certifier, but I don't want to, because what authority do I really have? What experience do I have? I don't feel I can say a product is good and I like it, and even with the halal
sure.
stuff, you know, you have to have people who really understand, like from the religious point of view, from the food science point of view. You have to, and there are
Correct.
some really good certifiers who do that. But
Of course.
sometimes there are just people who start a business and say, we're going to put a seal on it and call it, halal or whatever.
Certified.
So yeah, that's a whole other conversation. Even the organic, even to be organic, they can have a percentage of non-organic material in some of their stuff. So when I see this stuff, I think take it with a grain of salt. Take responsibility and accountability for your food. I'm always telling people, I'm not interested in buying, certified organic spinach in a bag. I'd rather go to the farmer's market or grow it myself. But at farmer's market, I can talk to somebody and I can say, can you just tell me a little bit about, do you spray? Don't worry if you're not certified. That happens all the time in the Chicago markets. When I started going, I would say to them, it's fine if they would explain to me, we can't afford the certification, but we don't spray. And I thought,
Correct.
great. They can't legally go out there and say organic. So that sort of harms them in a way but I get it. But you have to like talk to them to figure it out. And I
Correct.
feel bad for them. I think these people deserve more credit for the great produce they're growing that's not chemically sprayed, but they can't, really say that out on their, material.
Because enforced word or enforced
Yeah.
organization. So
So
these are stopping a lot of entrepreneurs from
yeah,
achieving. Although I appreciate some of the hustles, as you mentioned, that really care about good quality, if it's
yeah,
halal food
yeah.
or if it's organic. But sometimes there are so many certifications. I attended the conference. There's at
Too
least
much.
more than 16, 20 right now. That is vast.
It's
From animal products to plants product. And
yeah.
if you're going after these are so costly, expensive, and the mentality that I should make money by certifying you, and because I have the power and the industry knows me. This is not fair, and that was the reason I brought these two examples. Like this is bullying.
Yeah, I have to agree with you because I've been in the industry for a long time and I see it, and it's very, very big money, and
Sure.
it's not always. I love transparency in
Correct.
things, and I think that's so essential. But I think things need to change a big time, and maybe you're onto something that can help change the whole way that we do business and food because I'm Italian and I always defer to the way they do things in Italy. I know it doesn't translate to the US. I know that. But
Sure.
there are little things that I see that they do differently. Like
Sure.
they don't talk about organic certification much because most of their stuff is not sprayed. And
Correct.
and it forces you in a good way if you live there to get out of your house and go to the market 2 3 times a week and you get to know everybody who's selling stuff. I know
Exactly.
that might not be able to happen in a big country like the US where but I think on smaller scales it is happening.
I agree with you.
There are people who really care so much about our farmers markets, and things have changed a lot over the years and in a good way in the US when it comes to food. So I think
I
we
agree.
are getting better, but there's always some room for improvement. And you made some amazing points about the certification. I know with my olive oil, I didn't certify it in anything, but I just talk about it, right? That's what I can afford and that's what I can
Sure.
do. But it forces me to have a conversation with customers and to have a conversation with people who try it or are about to try it. They're hearing it from the source rather than you being disconnected from your consumers and just putting a
Correct.
label on it saying, just read the label. They'll tell you everything. No.
Yes.
Instead, you're saying, I'm open. I'm an open book. You can talk to me. You can talk to whoever works with us. And it forms more of a relationship, and they're bound to be repetitive buyers from you because they trust you. It's all about the trust anyway,
I
right?
agree with you 100%. 100%.
So you don't really always need a stamp of approval. You don't.
Correct.
So that's a whole nother conversation we could probably get into.
We should
But
have another conversation. Yes, of
I,
course.
I
Yes.
think that you're very, very inspirational in many ways. And I hope that this conversation helps people who, I think people who were born and raised in the US, for example, have with all the resources, sometimes don't realize what's around them to start a business or to create a food product. And here you are working from 12 or 13 years old. And
That's true.
you come to the US, a new country, and you start this business. It's a really good example of someone who has figured out a solution to a problem, but also how to use the resources around you. So I think you can really be an example to people who are on the fence about doing a business or just feeling like they don't know where to start. And it seems like you just get to it. Like you just
Well,
figure out things. I don't know how, but you just seem like you don't sleep much.
you're right. Well, first of all, I'm honored. I'm really, really honored by the kind words you gave about me. Yes, I don't. I want to sleep more, but sometimes my dreams keep me awake. Like today,
Ah,
this morning. Yes. I got up at 7. Sometimes my friends say, well, how would you get up so early? I say, if I'm hitting, if you were hitting, you would get up early too. So I'm hitting somewhere that
Yeah.
I know it's a dream. It's more than me, because I used to be a software engineer. I was making very good money, 6-figure income. It's not
Mm.
about me, because if it's about me, I could have a good life and make good money and enjoy my life. And even I told that to my wife as well in the past. It's about how many lives we can help, how many people that are less fortunate than us we can touch, how many farmers, we can tell their stories, right?
Mm.
The world is unfortunately a very injustice world. It's not the same that we are in the US. A child in Afghanistan has the same access. My child here raised amazingly, grown up very wealthy or healthy. It's not the same for a child abroad. But if I'm here and I can do something about those children in Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran, why shouldn't I? What else is there? I mean, we're all gonna die at some point, 80,
Yeah.
90, whatever. We're not gonna take anything with us to the graveyard. So it's more, let's give, let's help. That's what inspires me. There's really, if it was only about me and my family, I would probably sleep 12, 10 hours every day, because it's about the business, it's about the dream, it's about farmers and Afghanistan name and Afghanistan people. I really don't sleep as much. Not that I sleep enough that I can be healthy 7 to 8 hours, but I don't waste time. And it's not that. I also, one thing I want to say here, I am available. If the new entrepreneurs, doesn't matter which culture, which background, which religion, anyone who is in your audience needs help starting a business, specifically in the food, CPG, international supply chain, sales, marketing, things that I learned by School of Hard Knocks, as they say. Reach out
Yes.
to me, please. Reach out to me. I have my email, please. It's just Mohammed, my first name, at herayspice.com. Reach out to me. I would love to have a session. I would love to have multiple sessions, tell you what I know, and help you in any way possible I can.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I think that you have found a purpose on multiple fronts, actually, helping farmers, helping entrepreneurs, your family. You're really such a great role model for young people, middle-aged
Thank
people,
you.
anybody. It doesn't matter, because we tend to sometimes, I think that leads to a lot of depression and anxiety in society, is not having a purpose, not feeling like you are useful, not feeling like you figured out what your purpose is. And you only figure it out by doing and helping give back
And here's
what you
another thing.
know.
Correct. I was watching today a very interesting video on YouTube it was actually about purpose, and it was, how can you be happy? Just stay busy. Just stay busy in a positive, good
Yes.
work that you're proud of, you're enjoying. You don't have even time that the stress penetrate into your mind. The stress
Sure.
usually will come when you have nothing to do or too much bored, and the stress are coming up. Oh, I'm getting late, my bill is coming. If you're busy, you're not worried about those. And
Yeah.
second, I'm telling you, if you see someone an inspirational online, Instagram, any small business, and you see you like what they do, trust me, those people are the easiest people that you can talk to. Don't think they are busy. Yes, they are busy, they are inspirational, but trust me, any person, from the owner of Burlap and Barrel to all the way to Regalis Foods to Rarity, all of these brands that I work with as a distributor or friends
Mhm.
or just advisor that they are for me, I just literally found their customer service email. I'm like, hey, I want to talk with the owner. Can you please give me their email? Or this is my email. Sometimes
Mhm.
it takes some times, and
Yeah.
sometimes you can find the owner's email by LinkedIn. Trust me, all of them gave me a meeting, and I always have a meeting with them, even not a customer, just as a friendly meeting. Hey, I'm doing
Mhm.
this, I have some mistakes, help me. And people are willing. People who reach to the top, those are not I mean, there might be some nasty bad people, but most of them are good people. That's why you can easily talk to them. They will give
Most
you
people
their
want
time.
to help. Most people want
Yes.
to share what they know. Like, you worked really hard. I always think sometimes, like, I've been in this for over a decade and a half, and I think sometimes I'm just bursting with experience that I want to share and help people, but I don't. There's nobody around. Sometimes
You
it's
see,
like,
no one reaching. But I trust me. A lot of people say, "Oh, my halal kitchen is doing fantastic. I love what they do. I love the stories, the recipes." But they're like, "Oh, should I reach out? I have this question." Yes, reach out.
oh,
Definitely. I know you will be happy to help. I would be happy to help. Reach out. They would love to
yeah.
talk.
Yeah, I think after COVID, especially, people became even more isolated and introverted, and I think we need to get out of that shell again. I'm really roaring to go. I was going to say next time I'm in Chicago, we definitely need to get together. Maybe we
I would
can do
love to.
something that will help other entrepreneurs. Maybe we make. I always say, I don't wait around for other people to create something. If you want something, create it yourself. Do it.
That's such an amazing quotation, or such an amazing word. I love that. If you need something, go build it yourself. If you
Go
have
build
to,
it.
yes, you're right.
And I think that might be something we can look into next time, because maybe we just get a little space, or maybe a little restaurant will afford us a space.
Yes, let's do it. I'm a very let's go guy. So usually, so my wife is very introvert, and usually when we have a project or a plan, she is very skeptical that we should do that. But I'm the guy. I jump in. I always jump in, and I don't know why. Like I really, if there's a good idea, I'm like, well, let's just do it. I mean, I analyze, but as long as it's ethical, it's legal, it's lawful, what are you scared of? I mean,
Yeah.
we came to this world naked, scared, and ignorant. That's what the philosopher says. All of us, we came just crying and being alone, and now we are in this world. Anything we have is basically a privilege. Let's use this. We will not take anything with us again, and let's just experience. Life will be good if you experience more.
Especially when you've gotten opportunities to live in places of relative peace, and I mean, after having traveled as much as I have, I feel I live in luxury, complete luxury.
100%. The
And
same I feel. Exactly. I feel the
better
same.
than kings did in other times. So, and sometimes that's not even good for us. That comfort is the death of anything
Wow.
creative. It's like, got to get uncomfortable and do the things that scare you, that aren't so comfortable. That's how you grow. But it's so easy to just kind of, well, I'm going to be here for a while and enjoy this. But
Yes.
that to me, that's when sort of depression sinks in, and I'm like, oh, I can't do this. Now it's time to do something new again. It's time to take those risks that, are calculated and strategic and lawful and all of that. But it's what fuels life, not just
100%.
yourself, but for people around you. They get inspired. They get that energy. Everything is energy, good energy, bad energy. And so I feel sitting idle is, stagnant energy. So I think we can talk about that.
I think the world. I think the over the years, I learned that I have to get out of my office, get out of my room. So this is my office room. It's my kitchen I have in that corner, and I have a warehouse that I can get work done. But then there's a library. Whenever I go to the library, I don't know. There's something in the box or in that area of the box. I basically reserve a room, and I learned over time, majority of quality work is done out of your home, but somewhere alone. If the time is to play, I am a very play guy. Like I play soccer, I play volleyball, I go to gym. I'm a very socialistic guy. Like I love people, talking with people, enjoy my time with people, with others. But I learned over time, quality works and good work. If it's a new product, a new team, you need to work alone, but out of your comfort zone of the house. This is too close to the kitchen. Whenever I work a little bit, I'm like, okay, let me get to the fridge to see what my wife cooked, or let's see kiss the baby. And this really doesn't allow me to do quality work. But when I go to the library, I'm like, well, you're here, you gotta work, you're not home, and you have to work. Then I turn off my phone and I keep working, and 9 out of 10, I get the work done.
Work from home thing has been challenging. I think I've been doing it since 2008, and it's very difficult on your mental health, especially if you're alone all the time. I think after COVID, I just really said, I can't do this anymore. Give me something that, is more social. I need to be around people, because I've always been kitchen and office, kitchen, office, kitchen, office. And it's just, you need to get out. But you're right. Deep work is important, and changing it up. And that's why I like to do these interviews. That's why I like to do the trips, where I can interview people who are doing amazing things in food. But the farmers are my favorite. They are my favorite, because I just think without them, none of this would ever be possible.
Wow, they have such a nice hearts. Whenever I go to farms, they are they're lovely. They are very kind. They share. They
Yeah,
like you see
I
that
really
culture. Exactly. When I read when I was listening to my grandfather and my uncle, and he was talking about how the world was 100 years ago when he was like this old, and when I got to see the farmers, I really remember those stories because they are so innocent, they are so pure. There's
yeah.
no business in mind, and it's more like, well, I have this yield for this year. Allah or God is, He is Rahim, He is Rahman, He is merciful and He is kind. I will have more next year. I am fine. There's no jealousy. There's no, I need more. I need more, and like there's a peace. There's a me, like a very very being relaxed, and that is what I love about the
They work
farmers when
with
I
the
meet them.
earth, and they experience the miracle of planting the seed and seeing something grow. Not really by, and most farmers I talk to are so humble. They say it's not really anything I did. I just watered it, put it in the ground and watered it, and God took care of the rest, or nature took care. And because I grew up in the Midwest in Ohio, close to
Sure.
farms all my life, I
Okay.
have been, and my grandparents always had gardens, and you know, I just watched, I observed until when I got older and I started gardening. The first tomato I ever had made me cry like a baby, because I just thought,
Wow.
this is the most miraculous thing you
Oh
can.
my God.
I didn't do anything. I just stuck that seed and I got something to eat from it. So the people who do this day after day and bring you, and then they give it to you, okay, you pay for it, but fine. But most of the farmers I knew, they were so generous with, I'll take a couple more plums or a couple more peaches, or I don't meet people like that outside of the food world. There's something about working with your hands, working with the earth, that makes these people some of my favorite people in the world. You know.
You're 100% correct. I only saw another category of people, a majority category, even though, we have good people in any industry, any
Sure.
field. The other family of people that I saw were chefs,
Oh yeah.
professional chefs or non-professional. Like they are really generous. I mean, sometimes
Yeah,
maybe the management doesn't allow them. Trust me, if
right.
it was for the chef and he was the owner,
They would
you
give
say,
away.
"Hey, yes, I'm not full. I need more." They
Yeah.
don't even bother to charge you. They're bringing like from experience. And then we have the farmers, and probably it's because the ingredients that the farmers are first hand cultivating and creating, and the
Yeah.
chefs are the first people to touch them and cook with them.
And
Those two categories of people, they always touch my heart.
chefs, home cooks, people who love to cook, they love to nurture you.
Sure.
That's also what I grew up with, from my grandmothers, who were just cooks. They were just great cooks, and you could never leave without taking home something homemade as well. They would feed you and then send you home with homemade bread or sauce or whatever. And that is a true sign of love for the nurturing aspect. Like, they would want you to feel cared for. And all the people in food I know who are like that, everyone, whether they're a professional chef or a home cook, but it's being close to ingredients really for me, it makes me happy. Like, I cook as like a therapy. It's not something that I
That
cook
is
for.
that is very true. I don't even since we right now we have a business and we have a farmers co-op. Maybe that is the effect of being in farmers closely with them and talking with them pretty much every day. When we launched the website, and I was like, we have to have one policy cleared out. I spoke with Ali, one of our designer, and my wife, and I was like, we want to give anyone can afford whatever we're gonna pay. We're gonna give them the spices. There were some like, wait, are you sure you're gonna do that? What if someone misuses it? What someone abused that system? I'm like, don't worry, we're gonna do it. And I did it. And it's not that to show off. I literally mean by it. Whenever I go to these shows and someone comes by some stuff, and I'm like, oh, I want to get one for my sister, but I don't have the money. I honestly tell them, just enjoy. This is a second box on me. And they sometimes they can't believe it. It's like so many people are doing for me. The farmers are doing, the chefs are doing, my mom, my wife, all these home cooks, they're doing for their families. Why shouldn't I? And the other
Yeah.
thing, when you talked about the miracle, right? Imagine
Yeah.
that is life. I have this talk with you. I attend these shows. Imagine that's a seed I put in the ground.
Hmm.
And, I go to these shows 3 months from now. Someone calls me and say, Mohammed, bring me 1, 2, 3 pounds of saffron or 100 pounds of saffron. It's a huge order, very big income. We are excited. But imagine the seed I cultivated was attending the show. it was tough driving all the way to New York, or staying
Yeah,
in a hotel in New York,
you're
and going
doing
having that sleepless. You see, but I put only the seed. And now God did, or Allah did everything else for me.
it.
But
Yeah.
if I did not put the seed in any aspect of life, you're
But
not getting
Mohammed,
anywhere. Let the
you're
miracle do
all
it.
you're all planting seeds. You might think that your seed is different, right? The farmer's seed
Yeah.
is a literal seed that we need to have the product. You're planting other seeds. You're planting the seed of knowledge and the seed of enlightenment, where people like chefs, for example, who maybe never exposed to this quality of product, will then tell other people. They will use it in
Correct.
their dishes, and how many
That
hundreds of people consume it from their hands. So there's this exponential growth factor happening from the seeds you're planting. Even this video is a planted seed, because it's going
one,
to
and
live
I
on, and
love that.
right. So hopefully many people will watch it, and they will hear us bantering about certifications and other stuff. But it's a seed planted for the future. I think both of us have this thing where we really feel passionate about the same things, in terms of caring about the people who bring us food, but also in, increasing this standard of quality in society. I think Americans in particular have really gotten used to low quality food. Like there isn't this notion of quality over quantity. It's quantity over quality, right? And that's made a
Right.
lot of people very sick. And now people are waking up to, how can I fix this? And really, it is raising the standard of quality and saying, it doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg, but it's an investment in your health. It's an investment in your happiness, like the happy factor, in terms of, buy less, but have better quality, and you're less overwhelmed, and you feel richer inside for having purchased something that it's a good feel good thing too. You're getting something so good, but you're also doing something so good when you purchase. So there's this really holistic thing happening in your business, I think. I think you're really
Thank
onto something.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that's very true. One thing I should tell you, this is the most organic, this is the most fluent interview I ever had. I mean, I
Ah,
was in,
that's
I was in many.
patient.
I love this. No, it's not about certification. It's really, um, I am me, because normally when I do the interview with the TV, they give me like, hey, this is the question you're gonna ask.
Sure.
And not that this is not organized, it's very organized, but also I can tell what I really feel about the food, about the quality, and about being fair. Everybody is, you got to be mutually, helpful for the world,
Yeah.
but you got to be an enlightenment. But are you mutually enlightenment for the others, right? I mean, we all can be enlightenment for ourselves, making all money, taking care of our own family. But
Yeah.
but is that like, not only a self-enlightenment? It should be a mutual, it should be a way higher enlightenment, that we can,
Yes.
help others, transfer a point, transfer a knowledge. And you're right. I mean, if you see in the US, we have almost 730,000 die people from the heart disease every year. I forgot the exact number, but the book says something around more 500,000 or more.
It's
We have so
diet
many.
and lifestyle.
Yes,
Diet and
we have
lifestyle.
Alzheimer disease, we have lung disease, we have cancers, many forms. How are these being so high and increasing at an exponential rate? It is definitely what we feed our mind, what we feed our body. It's a temple, and we really have to know what we feed, how is it sourced, what are the chemicals. These chemicals are killing us, this cheap product. And
Absolutely.
it's not about people buy my product. It's about buy from anyone who can show you the source,
Yeah.
who can tell you what they are using and their ingredient, and then enjoy it.
We don't, make that correlation between what we eat and our mental health, but now there's lots of doctors talking about gut health, it's brain health, and all these things. And I just think, I feel so fortunate to have grown up around people who really thought about food and family. I can't imagine what I would be today if I didn't have that. And I feel so sorry for kids today who don't have that. And I feel like maybe that's part of the purpose, is to impart that, like, to get people back to some traditions and some values that were more about what's the real priority, which is not money, and you can't eat money. It's everything is connected, right? Like I always say, you are what you eat eats. So if the cow is eating junk, you're eating the cow, you're eating junk. You're treating the animals poorly, you're getting them nervous and stressed. They get high cortisol, you get it by eating. So
Wow.
when we treat everything better and we respect ourselves, that whole cycle starts to get cleaned up as well.
100%. That is such a great point, and you're a great interviewer. Is that the correct word? English is my second language. I still have.
I don't know. That was pretty good.
You bring the best of the people by they tell you exactly what they know and truly how they know it.
Yeah. This reminds me of our first conversation, by the way, on the phone. I mean, it's so
You're
much
right.
better. We talked for a long time about this stuff. Yeah.
I remember that was supposed to be a very short call. Like this one also, I think
But
we
this,
are
I
over the
told you,
time.
would be 30 minutes as well. So we've kind of
Sure.
gone double.
And these are good. These are conversations that we gotta have sometime. These are coming from the understanding of knowledge and commonalities and experiences that we saw over the years. For others, what the food causes them, as you said, you are what you eat. I usually was thinking you're what you eat,
Now,
but that's actually more deeper. I like that. That's a more philosophical point of view, and I really respect that. Plus, also nowadays in the US, I don't want to say only in the US, even across the world, I should say, to educate people on good quality is expensive.
yes.
And what I'm asking people is that they open their eyes and they should ask some question, take some responsibility. Obviously, we as a brand, as a company, as a cooperative of farmers have to tell them what we do. But how many people can we reach, right? This is also, it should be a responsibility of everyone to tell their families, their future generations. I have 2 little boys. In my home, as a father, it's prohibited to have any snacks. We don't have any of those snacks. Like there's literally, if you see my cabinet, there's no Coca-Cola. Unless there's a guest coming over, you'll have Coca-Cola. There is no chips, no French fries. The reason is why we are raising our future generation with the junk. That's literally junk. This is literally trash.
Don't get started on this topic.
You see what I mean? And what we do is at our home, and my wife has the same philosophy. We give cucumber, we give carrots for the children to start tasting these as they grow up. They learn how the salads work. What is plant-based diet? We are not vegetarian, but why would I give so many preservative additives, so many chemical inside these Cheetos and these snacks that are really harmful? And right now, I'm the weirdo. When we go to a family gathering, I'm the guy who is not giving his kid the snack, and they feel bad. And they're like, "Oh, Mohammed, poor." I'm not poor. I'm probably more richer than all of. I don't want to brag about it, but I have probably a better lifestyle and more money probably than most of the people I know. But they are the one giving all these junk, and they don't feel bad. And I look bad giving a healthy thing for my baby. This is so upside down.
But isn't it, Mohammed? I've seen this in many countries where if people can afford the American junk food, it's considered a lifestyle, it's a status thing, right? It's like
Yes.
people. I spent quite a bit of time in Turkey, and I love the country. I really thought people, when I would go through the markets and I'd say, "Oh my God, this food here is incredible. There's so much superfood. There's so many incredible ingredients." But teenagers will be teenagers. But I think as a whole, a lot of people didn't really, really, really appreciate what they have. And I get it. I get it. It's nice to have
marketing
and all the marketing, and you want the McDonald's and the Burger King. But coming from where I'm coming from, where people are fat and sick and mentally unwell, and the food is just expensive, that good food is expensive and bad food is cheap. I appreciate what all of those markets that are full of organic produce. Maybe not, it's not all organic, but to me, when I see markets full of food, my heart relaxes and I think, oh, okay. I come to the big grocery stores and I get anxiety by everything being in a box and a bag, and I think, this is not sustainable. This is not.
This is bad for the kid. This is bad for the future generation. You
And they
don't know
don't.
how many diseases they are
Yeah.
actually research in this book the guy is mentioning. You know, the first signs of brain disease and Alzheimer and few other diseases that are brain specifically, they are actually started at an early age, as age of 5 to 7. Those are the ages that some of these neurons are being affected.
Yes.
And
Yes. So
imagine the food we are giving our kids at age 5 to 7. We already put the seeds of this guy will have Alzheimer at age 60. Why?
because
Why we should do that?
the traditional wisdom is dying out, and a lot of young people don't care to talk to the elders about how did you make, like they made use out of everything, the whole animal, things from scratch. And I get that it's a lot of work to do meals from scratch.
Correct.
My grandmother used to say she used to kind of reprimand us if we didn't do certain things. She would say, you're getting lazy. Like, don't get lazy. Don't be lazy. You have to take care of your family. And that might be a very politically incorrect thing to say today, but I'm glad for those warnings that she gave to say, what's most important is your family and your health. And from there, you can do anything. But if you don't take care of that, then you can't eat your money, basically, right? You can't eat your money.
I mean, honestly, I grew up the same way traditionally as you did, and the word that you're lazy or you're getting lazy is not a bad thing. I mean, I know politically, I studied here, and people are very sensitive about some of these words that they may give them depression. Different cultures, I respect that. However, I grew up the same way, and I know why they told us, because anything to be achieved is not achieved in your comfort zone. When
Yeah.
someone says don't get lazy, it literally means don't get in your comfort zone. If
Yeah.
you're in your comfort zone, you are being lazy. I know this is, you see what I mean? But those people had a different way of saying it, and the way we should listen to them. And you're right, there's a big disconnect between that generation and our generation, and we have to learn from them.
Once they're gone, all their wisdom is gone. I mean, my grandmother's gone now. Allah give her, mercy. But she didn't spend all day in the kitchen. She was so efficient at what she did. Everything was cleaned up by a certain time. She was, and I think I am not that good. If I start doing things from scratch, my house will be a mess for 2-3 days. So I have a lot to still learn from that. But it's a generational thing, because we're distracted with so much, but they were really focused. Their focuses were really on family, and it was a different time. But I think going back to the quality and the food, I think we just have to prioritize what's important to us. And, I think when you do business, it should be mutually beneficial. And you seem to really get that down. High quality product, and for your family, for the people that you sell to, things start to fall into place when you do what's really important at the top of your day and at the top of your list, right? So if your story can help anybody, or if our conversation can help anybody, then maybe that will be it. That we kind of encourage people to prioritize what's important. What's important to you? What's important to you? What's important? Everybody's got something a little different. But at the end of the day, family and health and a good quality of life is what most people are after, no matter where they come from.
I needed those. I know that I needed to be reminded, even though I'm very focused on my family and my health. But I really needed to be reminded. I read somewhere that they said we don't need to learn more. We need to study more the things that we already know. Like, I know those two things, my health and my family. But right now, when you mention those again, it really got me thinking. I think we have to. I have another meeting in 5 minutes, but sure. But
family, mashallah.
Sure. Thank you so much. You are very wise, and I'm really. I believe in that. I don't just say it. I really mean it, because you bring points that really matters at this age, in this generation. We need to be focused.
Yeah.
The fear of missing out, as they say, FOMO. Fear, FOMO. Yes, it is really a fact. It's really a fact. I really, for my business, we got in trouble for thinking of fearing of missing out. changed some of my focus back in 2022, 2023. I'm glad we came back on because I was adding different products and I was doing different marketing. And now we are again focused on saffron, focused on farms, focused on good product, and we see customers are coming in. So really, you will see your competitors, you will see your companies online. They do multi-million-dollar sales and this and that, and they do this marketing. And you're like, oh, maybe I'm missing out. Maybe I should leave this business and start another business. And they are all like fake. They are all fears that do not exist. Everybody has problem in their personal life. They're not going to post it online. They're going to post the things that they want you to be jealous of them. And now you're destroying your life for jealousy, which doesn't get you anywhere. So fearing of missing out is a fact. We should always stay focused and focus on our health and our family's health. And that those are the two matters in this life. And for akhirat, we should pray. We should pray more, and we should be more close to God or to Allah or whatever the religion people of are or their religious beliefs. You have to stay more spiritually strong. And in this world, we have to focus on health, helping others and families.
And, I think about being a master of your craft, whatever your craft is.
Wow, yes.
Being a master of, we have that concept in Islam, like ihsan, excellence. And if you look at some of the biggest brands today that are, truly like elegant and classy, and they're family businesses that stayed in one area and just mastered that thing. And they're still around, a lot of them. And they're not like huge. They're not huge. They're actually quite small, but that's kind of why their products maybe are more expensive or exclusive. But it was never about money. It was about mastering a craft. So I don't know. That takes me back to.
I love that. Yeah. I really well read that. So that's a good point. Mastering your own craft.
We will convene again, inshallah, in Chicago, perhaps. And
of course.
And then have to go to a meeting. And I promised you like 30, 40 minutes at the most. I'm sorry.
But I enjoyed it. No, please. I really enjoyed this conversation. This was amazing.
This was great. Thank you so much. And everyone, please, if you enjoyed this conversation and learned something, please go to Mohammed's family website, Heray. Tell me how to say it properly, Mohammed, please.
You're right. Heray Spice.
HeraySpice.com. And you can also look at some of the recipes and things I've posted on myhalaLkitchen.com. But Mohammed, I hope we get to talk again soon. And I wish you all the best. Say salam to your beautiful family and your two adorable boys. And inshallah, we will meet in Chicago.
Thank you so much. I was honored to be here. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Wonderful to have.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Bye.
Bye-bye.